Welcome to Adventures in Careerland. I'm Adriano Magnifico. I'm the career facilitator in the Louis Riel School Division. And we're really glad and happy to be here with you today because this is season 3, the beginning of season 3 of Adventures in Careerland. And it's been a long and fascinating journey. The purpose of our podcast is to gather the stories of people in formation, people who are thinking about their lives, thinking about where the possibilities lie, and thinking about what kind of jobs they want to try out. We find that when people listen to this podcast, they feel a little inspired because there's many stories that come and many personal narratives that come out of here. And many of the decisions people make are really, really powerful for other people to listen to and think about in their own context. What we figure out from this podcast is that a lot of people have the same kinds of issues when it comes to career thinking. They're tough to make decisions, but it's always about trying to figure out what's the right fit. Where does it work? What works for me? And that's what this podcast is about. And we broadcast live from, it's always edited, but we broadcast live from the Louis Riel School Division, the Arts and Technology Center, the broadcast media program. And that's one of the 13 gems in the Arts and Technology Center, 13 applied and technical and apprenticeship programs. This one's a gem. And that's where kids in this program learn how to be broadcast media specialists. And I am ably assisted all the time by two of the smartest kids in the program. This year, we're continuing with last year's crew. Zoe. Zoe.
Yes.
How's the summer gone?
Summer was okay. I spent the entire summer working pretty much.
Where do you work?
I worked at a small restaurant in Ontario.
Oh my gosh. So what was the big meal there? What was the popular meal?
We sold a lot of burgers.
Burger,
and
okay.
fries.
Well, what did they call their burger?
Hamburger and
Oh,
quarter
come
pound
on.
hamburger,
That's
just
what a boring
nothing
place to work.
special.
There's no Fat Boy or a Whopper or something like that. Nothing like that.
No, we're not that fancy.
Okay, not that fancy. And of course, so now you're back for your final year. This is your final semester, so I'm going to be blessed with Zoe for just until February. I'm already a little misty-eyed. And our other able assistant, our other producer is Akira Sakaki. Akira, how was your summer? What did you do?
It was good. Mainly did like home renovations. So
What? Do you own a house?
no, like my family's house, like my parents'
Okay.
house. Yeah.
So what did you fix? What are you good at in home renovations?
Well, like my dad will install the drywall, and then I'll just like patch it. So like, you know, like patching drywall, you've got to put like the binds so that there's no like rocky edges.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of work.
It's a
actually.
lot of work, but
Yeah.
that is an incredible life skill to have.
Yeah.
If your dad's showing you how to do that. What does
Yeah.
your dad do for a living? Does he do this regularly?
Well, my dad, he works in a construction company, so
Yes.
yeah. And then he also like he works sometimes in like a sushi place, so it's kind of yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're eating sushi in a beautifully drywall. What's the color of the room going to be that you're working on?
Honestly, it's probably gonna be white.
Boring, kind
Yeah.
of boring. Anyway, so I'm so glad to have you both back for this third season. And the third season, boy, we're in the couple of dozen of these now. So we're going to continue every week. We'll try to be as regular as we can. And our opening guest is, well, unbelievable. We're so pleased. And it's Justine Proulx. Justine Proulx is a person whom I met wandering the hallways of the Arts and Technology Center, and she was painting the walls. And she wasn't doing what you were doing, Akira, like setting up drywall and painting them white. She was doing incredible murals, and I just stopped and stared at the murals. So Justine, welcome.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Oh, it's super exciting to have you. So Justine, when I met you, you were doing murals, and your background is Métis.
Yep.
You were hired to do this. It's part of your background and your journey to have become this incredible artist. Because when I stopped and looked at those murals, I honestly, my jaw dropped because the art was spectacular. And I told you that, and I saw you working on a small portion,
Yeah.
and I had to run to you and say, "What? Oh my gosh, you're the one doing this? Oh my gosh!" So tell us how you got to ATC and doing murals a bit.
Well, I came to hair school here in 2014. September 2014 is when I came here and started, and then ended my program in October of 2015. So, I came here right after grad, and then I guess Brian Cameron found me, like he follows me on Instagram, and I did a mural at Miles Mac. My mom is the Indigenous studies teacher there. So over the lockdown, when my job was shut down, I did a mural there, and I posted it, I don't know, months later, because I kind of forgot about it. And I posted it, and Brian saw it, and he's like, you need to come and do this here. So yeah, I just came in, he showed me what walls he wanted painted, and kind of just gave me a lot of creative freedom, which was awesome.
Oh, and it's spectacular. I love the lines. We'll talk about the art,
Yeah.
the art a bit, but no, you weren't a Louis Riel School Division student.
No, not in high school.
Okay, so where did you go?
Calvin Christian.
Calvin Christian.
It's this super teeny school in Transcona.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like grade 7 to 12. My graduating class was like 23 people.
Well, that's good. What's the
Yeah.
advantage of that?
I liked it. I liked it because I still have a relationship with some of my high school teachers. I tattoo them, I cut their hair. Quite a bit of them I still talk to. And it was nice because with such small classes, and like I've been with those kids since grade 4, so I knew them super well. It was great. And the teachers had more time for one-on-one work, very similar to the vibe at ATC, where you never felt like you were getting forgotten about, really, and the teachers just always had time to help you out. So
that's important to you then, like the
Yeah.
smallness, the community,
Yeah.
the building relationships piece, super important. Because I can see that in your art. I feel like you're so connecting to your art, and then it connected to me. I felt like that comes from a person who has that great sense, and that great sense of honoring people and relationships and the animals around her. Because anyone who hasn't been to ATC to see these things has to come down here and just for a little walk. They're
I know they're hard to photograph. It's hard
Oh,
to,
gosh.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
hard to
yes.
show in a post.
It's hard to show in a post, but we'll try through some of our social media pieces to talk about some of your work. And I think we've already done that. I'm interested in this hairstyling. So you come from Kelvin,
Yep.
and you decide, oh my gosh, you're a high school kid in grade 11 thinking, I want to try hairstyling. Why would you try that?
Well, my aunt's a hairstylist, so I grew up around it. Like her and my mom worked in a salon together. She owns one on Concordia, my aunt. So I was around salons my whole life. I used to play in that salon and play on mannequins when I was a kid. And my mom, she before the program got shut down, she was Miles Mac's nail technology teacher. And that program sadly got shut down in the last year, but she taught there for, I don't even know, 8 to 10 years, something like that. So yeah, it was just always in my family. And I knew from the age of 8 that I wanted to be a tattoo artist. So, but it's hard to get into that industry. There's no school for it. You have to find someone to teach you. So in high school, I was like, I need a real job, for lack of a better word, to make sure that I can go and make money and do something that I actually enjoy doing. At the time, I was working at the YMCA as the swim instructor manager, which it was a good job, but I've been doing it since I was like 15 and a half, 16. So it was kind of time to move on from that.
So you've got some disparate parts here. Like, that's what I mean. We always talk about, and Akira and Zoe and I talk about in this podcast all the time about collecting these dots.
Yeah.
And then we always talk about, well, once you collect them, you have to kind of connect them and pull them together. So you're thinking you have some background, your mom's into the hairstyling gig.
Yeah.
And you want to be, how do you know you want to be a tattoo kid at 8 years old?
Mostly from my dad, actually. He has tattoos. It was always his dream to be a tattoo artist, and he would draw all the time. My parents, like when I was younger, seemed to almost like go out every Friday or Saturday, and we'd get a babysitter. But while my mom was getting ready, which usually took like 2 hours, my dad would draw at the table. So I would draw with him, and he had lots of tattoo magazines. So he would basically just tell me, like, copy this picture, like look at the tattoo magazine, try and recreate it, try and do this. He'd teach me how to shade, all that kind of stuff. So I sat with him like weekly and did that. And then it just kind of escalated from there. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I grew up watching like Kat Von D and Ink Master and all that kind of stuff when I was little. Yeah. And yeah, no, my dad, he doesn't have a lot of tattoos, but I just remember I went to Metamorphosis, where I work now, when I was 12. because my dad was getting a tattoo by an artist that used to work there. And I just remember that was the first time I'd been in that shop. And it's super beautiful. It's huge. Like, the lobby is bigger than this room. It's massive. It has like 8 tattoo rooms, a bunch of piercing rooms. And I just remember going in there and it just being like, I just knew that I was supposed to be there, even at 12. And I got to sit and watch my dad get the tattoo. It was a small piece. It was like me and my sister and brother's initials on his forearm. So it took like, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. But the guy doing the tattoo let me sit as close as I wanted. He gave me advice, and he just let me watch super close, which was amazing. And so from 8 to 12, I knew that that's kind of what I wanted to do. I drew all the time. And then once I got to go watch a tattoo being performed, and this artist was, you know, answering my questions and giving me great advice and talking about how he got into the industry, and it was great. So then after that, I'm like, I'm supposed to work here at this place. And I said that to my dad the day of his tattoo. I'm like, I'm going to work here. And he's like, okay, like, all right. Oh, sure.
Yeah, do you want to go for ice cream now?
Yeah, because I'm a child. Yeah, and then I didn't go back again until I was 16 when I got my nose pierced. And then after that, I just kept getting piercings, getting tattooed, and and then got hired. I got hired as a piercer first. And I pierced for about 4 years before I started tattooing.
Well, when did you get hired as a piercer? Was that after the hairstyling gig?
It was kind of in the middle of it. So I started doing hairstyling. It was great.
Now, what's the advantage? Now,
Yeah.
this is, I asked you this in the hallway quickly before, but so has hairstyling and being involved in that program, which you always felt was close-knit, it reminded you of the Kelvin experience, and that's important to you. How did that influence your tattoo skills, mindset,
Like doing
potential?
hair?
Yeah, doing the hair thing.
Hair, I just love creative jobs. So hair is an art, basically. You know, you need to know the technical stuff. You know, make sure you don't burn someone's scalp. Make sure you don't ruin their hair. But you get to talk to someone for anywhere from half an hour to 4 hours, depending on the color that you're doing. And that's kind of how tattooing is. You have to spend time with someone and touch them. When you're doing hair, as soon as you touch someone and start to get comfortable with them, they just start talking about their life. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah,
In fact,
so-
when I sit and they've actually done my hair, and these guys are looking at my hair. You're all looking at my hair saying, well, how long does that take? It looks like a 5-minute job. I know, because there's not a lot to work with. But when I sit in that chair and it actually gets slightly long,
Yeah.
the beauty is the conversation. As soon as you break down the wall a bit, the conversation is the fun part, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it looks like, Akira, you're due for a haircut, I think.
I want to go get a perm, actually.
I like it. Your
Really?
hair's so nice.
I want to actually go get a perm here. I've gotten them
Do
done
it.
before, and they did a really good job.
All right. And what's the conversation like?
Actually, it was kind of funny. I was sitting there, and they're like, "This is the first time a guy comes in to get a perm," and they were just like, they were having so much fun doing it. It took a long time, I won't lie,
You
but
have
it's
a lot of hair.
it's because they're learning. So
Well, they're learning. And,
Yeah,
and that's
I-
the
yeah.
fun. And now, Zoe, are you going to go to the... you got a lot of hair. This
I
is your
do,
potential
yeah.
to turn it into something. What do you want to do?
I don't really have any plans for my hair. I like having the blue in my hair right now. When it gets closer to graduation, I was thinking of going like to the hairstyling thing here so that they could like touch it up so that it looks nice for graduation. But
Come on, Zoe. A little adventure, a little color, something a little off the wall.
well,
I used to have a lot of hair, and I let them cut it down to
That's a
this.
lie.
That's a lie. That's a total lie. That's a total lie, okay? Anyway, we're going to get you in there, and we're going to make sure she does something spectacular.
Oh no.
No, they're really skilled. I was
great.
I was a little
They're really
nervous.
good,
I
yeah.
thought exactly what you thought. These are sharp objects, and these
Oh,
are
for
kids who
sure.
are learning.
Yeah.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, they were. You guys
We
are
have
on
great
top.
teachers,
The
absolutely.
teachers in that program are outstanding and so attentive and so technical,
Yeah.
but so relationship building.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like they're so kind. So you got to go in something spectacular. We'll design it for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what'll happen.
Okay.
So the hairstyling was just a creative outlet for you.
Absolutely. And it was familiar because I'd been around it my whole life. So it was just like, okay, I'm going to go do this because it's great for money. It can be great for money.
And you went off and got Red Seal, because you don't get Red Seal here.
You get Red Seal with hairstyling. So
Yes.
the nice thing about ATC is you have to do your government exam, and they
Yes.
bring the examiners to us in the salon. So it's great because we all get to do it together.
Yes.
And then to get your Red Seal, you have to just work a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of time. So even if you work all the hours, it's like 2,000 something, I forget. even if you work all the hours, you still have to wait. I think it's like 2.5, 3 years. I can't fully
Yes,
remember.
yes.
And then you get your red seal. So I met those hours way before because I worked like more than 40 hours a week. And then I just kind of had to wait for an extra 6 months to just get the red seal in the mail. And to keep it up, you just need to pay something like, it's less than $100 every 2 years.
It's a fee. Well,
Yeah.
but that's an accreditation. Like, I recommend that to any student.
To
Like,
get a red seal?
well, to get some kind of applied training
Yeah.
piece, some technical piece. I really like what you said. Whenever you're in doubt, you have this excellent space to go to make money.
Absolutely.
And to do something you enjoy.
It's a good backup too. Like,
Oh,
and the training here is fast. Like, you don't have to spend 5 years of your time to become a hairstylist or some of the other trades in the school, and you can always fall back on it. And
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and that's where there's I remember watching, like, there's some videos by Kevin Fleming, a prof in California. I've talked about that before, I think, where he says, the way to really survive, a lot of these kids go to college in the U.S., which is our university, right? And they wind up being underemployed or
Yeah.
in the wrong jobs. His point is, nothing wrong with that, because it's building skill in you, and it's building mindset and analytical skills and all kinds of writing skills and communication skills. When you combine that with any kind of technical trade, you're golden for this new economy.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good way. You guys are doing that. Like, you're in the broadcast media program, you're learning the Adobe suite, you're learning a lot of technical skills. You're also sitting in podcasts, you're also talking to people, you're standing in front of groups, you're organizing and developing programs. You guys are getting the best of everything. And if you go to university down the road, that's just extra pudding.
Yeah.
Like that's dessert. You don't have to do that anymore. That doesn't have to be the way to go
Yeah.
anymore. And so that's really powerful. This building was an eye-opener for me when I started about, wow, these kids are really getting skilled. They're really getting powerful skills that will allow them to move directly into the economy and make a difference right away. Pretty cool. Do you have any thoughts?
Honestly, though, I always say it, and I was talking to Mr. P about it. I feel like not enough students know like what it's like at ATC because they're always used to like the high school experience. Just like you sit there, your teacher's like teaching you the basics like math, science, all that stuff. But if more students knew exactly what it's like, because I feel like it's almost like hands-on learning, like project-based learning to a point, because Mr. P standing up there teaching us, but he also sends us out to do things on our own, and that's how you learn. So I think it's a lot of fun learning that way because you're more likely to remember it, right?
Spot on. The
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
like the whole
Learn by
experience,
doing.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Zoe, the experience, right? Like
Yeah.
getting stuff, doing with your hands. I like what
Yeah.
you said. I went directly, and my son did this too. He was thinking about mechanical engineering, and I said, well, let's go sit in a class
Yeah.
at Red River. And he sat in a class for 2 days, and he said, I think this is it.
Yeah.
But he had to go in there and sit, and he went and talked to the teacher or the prof, whatever Red River calls him, and it made a difference. You went right into this tattoo place right away,
Yeah.
and you were
after-
immersed in it,
Yeah.
and that makes a difference. You leaning over, watching the tattoo in action, what was that like? Can you recall that
It was
experience?
awesome because it was just, I don't want to say it was a spiritual experience, but kind of because.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, it's like I had this feeling my whole life, even as a child, that this is supposed to be my life path. This is supposed to be what I'm doing. And as soon as I went into that specific shop, because I'd been in other tattoo shops before, like my dad, when I was younger, had tried to get an apprenticeship. And they liked his work, but you don't make money when you're apprenticing. And he had 3 small children,
Yes,
so
yes.
it's not super feasible. So I'd been in other shops and not gotten that same feeling. But being there, it just was, I don't know, there was just something about it where watching it, I'm like, I just can't wait to do that.
Yeah, the power of experience and trying things out is huge. And most of us, I mean, in my world growing up, it was all about you should go to university. And that's not the way it is anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not feasible anymore. And the universities have to rethink their
So
own
expensive.
paradigms,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I think they're starting to, but trying to move stuff in education is just so slow,
Yeah.
slow, arduous, slow moving. Anyway, tell us about the mural. Now, the mural, the artwork. I'll give you my impression of the artwork because
Sure.
why I stopped. I love the roundness of your work, like the line,
Like the smoothness and
the smoothness,
yeah.
but things are round. When I look at some indigenous art and landscapes and stuff, the lines are much more distinct
Yeah.
and straight. Am I wrong in this? Like, and
No,
I-
there's a
I-
couple different styles, but
Yes.
I like this. It's called like Woodland Art, and a bunch of
Woodland
different
Art.
artists do it. And I've seen it in like museums. I've seen it on other murals in Winnipeg. It's super common. But there's some woodland artists that I never want people to be like trying too hard to figure out what they're looking at. Some Indigenous art is
Yes.
just a lot. It's a lot of lines, a lot of colors, and you're trying to figure out like, okay, that's a bear, that's that, and they're all kind of close together. But I want people to be able like to look at it and figure out what it is. And I think a lot of that comes from tattooing, because with tattooing, you need to make your tattoos like that. You need to have the certain amount of contrast, and you need to make sure that it's going to look good in 50 years from now.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I think
Yes.
a lot of the
That's the challenge with
yeah.
tattoo. Boy, you're bringing up a point. I thought, what
yeah.
happens? Like if you get the tattoo, I don't want to know where it is. Okay, Akira? Zoe, I don't know. I don't want to know where your tattoo is. But the tattoos you have, Zoe's looking at me like I have 3 heads. But the tattoos you have, like once you get older, unless you keep up your tone,
saggy.
it does, yeah.
Is that so? That's a major issue. I thought it
is.
wasn't an issue.
Like I'm 25. I got my first tattoo when I was 18. It definitely looks different than it did when I was, and I'm
Starts to
young.
fade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it fades a little bit and the lines blur. So if you like gain a crazy amount of weight, even lose it has to be a lot of weight and kind of at a fast speed in order for it to get stretched. But and it depends on the artist too. So you want to make sure that the lines are not done too close together. You want to make sure that you have enough contrast, because certain
Yes.
colors fade, they blur a little bit. Like I have a piece on my leg right now where there was a top part and a bottom part. And the bottom part was done 4 years ago, and the top part was done 2 months ago. And the difference is pretty insane.
Okay.
And the top part is already kind of settled into my skin. It's healed. But you can definitely tell, even looking back on photos, like, and I'm young and I'm in shape, and they still blur just a little bit.
So you would tell an old guy who says, "I want a tattoo in the middle of my stomach."
I'd do it.
Well,
But,
probably not an old guy. Probably not a great idea.
well, as long as it's done right. Like I've tattooed, I think my oldest client was 86.
Damn.
Yeah, I tattooed quite a bit of older people.
Yeah.
And as long as they get it the proper size, I mean, you're 86. Like, how much more time do you have here? It's not going to age that badly. So it's great. I actually really like tattooing older people because they're just down.
I
for
like to drink a
anything.
lot of Coke and things, and there's a good chance my stomach's going to get a lot bigger as I
Yeah.
age. So
Yeah.
you have to consider that.
Even people getting pregnant, people all sorts of stuff.
Zoe,
yeah.
you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Do you
Like
prefer
when I
doing,
say
like,
Coca-Cola, I might mean other
darker,
things, right?
like black ones, like because color fades a lot.
It can, yeah. As like if you're sunscreening it, if you're pale, like skin tone does matter. There's
Yeah.
some skin tones where you can put the same color, but it's not going to show up as vibrantly. Someone who's super, super, super dark, you don't want to put like yellows in their skin. It just
Yeah.
changes weird. But yeah, I love doing black and gray, but I also love doing color. I do a bit of both, and it just kind of depends on the style.
Very much so. See that's amazing technical stuff. Now, there's no apprenticeship for it.
Well, there is, but there's no school for it.
Are you the
Yeah.
person who's going to start that school?
I don't want to start a school because there's a tattoo school starting. Like, there's a few of them popping up in like Toronto. I've seen one
Yeah.
pop up in Vancouver. And the thing is that it kind of takes away, I think, from like it's supposed to kind of be a bit of a difficult experience. It's kind of
Yes.
tradition for it to be difficult and for you to have to work really hard. And these tattoo schools, if you Google them right now, they'll be like, hey, $3,000, come on in. We'll give you your equipment. You'll tattoo oranges, fake skin. We'll teach you how to tattoo. I could teach any of you right now how to use a machine. Absolutely. But you guys can't draw, probably. I know, I haven't seen you draw. But you know what I
Obviously
mean?
haven't seen my
That's a fair
Schmegley
assumption.
comments.
Yeah. Like the
That's a fair
thing is
assumption.
like I could probably teach almost anyone to use the machine,
Awesome.
use the power pack, have
Yes,
the knowledge,
yes.
but to actually do it is very difficult. And these tattoo schools, what they're doing is they're taking anyone in with crappy portfolios, with people who can't
Yes.
do art. And they're not
Yes.
teaching them that. And they're just like, here's a machine, go for it. And then the thing is people like my boss, people who have been tattooing for years and years and have worked so hard and sacrificed so much to do this craft, they won't hire those people
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So those
That's fair.
they won't.
That
Those
makes
those
sense, yeah.
tattoo schools are pointless.
Oh, that's well, but
Yeah.
is there a way? Yes, but is there a way to make that school what it should be?
I
Well,
don't know.
I mean,
I
if you
think it'll
look at like,
oversaturate the industry too.
if
Yes.
you look at
Yeah.
like how Red River does their thing for their graphic program, because I thought about going,
Yeah.
they ask you to submit a portfolio and
Yes.
they make you do it like actually like a project before they even tell
Yes.
you if you're
Yeah.
So maybe if they did it like with that approach where they had kind of like a basic skill
Mhm.
level you need to be like
Yeah,
good at
show us what
drawing
you
to
can
get
do.
in,
Yeah.
then maybe it would work out a little better.
Well, in your industry, they do that. In the CRECOM program, I remember working with some students getting their portfolio together. You want to join CRECOM, you have to be a writer.
Right.
Or at least you have to be, you have to have a collection of writings that show potential.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of thing, and some digital pieces in different parts,
Right.
right? So any faculty that's serious is probably, and
No,
trying to
that's-
get
yeah,
students, but
exactly.
I feel for them because they're probably trying to get the industry moving.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing is even right now in Winnipeg, there's more apprentices than I even know.
Yes.
The industry is like, there's enough people in Winnipeg that need tattoos. Like no
Oh,
one at
yeah.
our shop right now can take anyone else. We're all booked 2 years in advance. Like our wait
2
list.
years.
Wow.
My wait list is insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to be good too. Like I imagine they look at your artwork and go, I want Justine.
people wait. Yeah. Some people,
Yeah.
you know, if they want a little script
It's,
word
well,
or
it's like a
something, I'm
hairstylist, right?
yeah,
You're not going, once you find your hairstylist,
you don't want to
You
leave.
don't leave them. Yeah.
No.
yeah,
yeah.
you know, my hairstylist is Singleton's, so it's, no, I'm kidding. I'm
Singleton.
kidding, I'm kidding.
Your face.
I don't know what that means. So
That's just
It's just like a
Little
regular
chain-
place.
chain
Yeah.
store.
it's like the no-name hairstylist.
Yeah,
Singleton's
yeah.
is going to say, no, it's not a no-name, but it's one of these branch plant kind of.
They have a high
Well,
turnover of
high
employees.
turnover.
Yeah.
got it.
okay.
A lot of
Anyway.
apprentices getting there.
Anyway, so talk more about the art though, like the art, like you come from a woodlands background, right?
Yeah.
What was it like as a kid growing up in the woodlands? Tell us where you were and what that meant to you.
Well, you know-
and you mentioned spiritual. Talk about how that connected to you.
Like I didn't see too much Indigenous art growing up. I know we had like one piece hung in my basement that was this like bear that I don't even know where my parents had gotten it. It was in our laundry room, and I just always liked it. It was like this woodland art, and like we didn't have it hanging like ridiculously in our house or anything. So I kind of saw it a little bit more. Oh, I feel like it was at the art gallery when I was a bit younger. They did this like thing of like 8 Indigenous artists. They've done it more recently, but they did it when I was younger too. And I didn't really get into it until I was maybe in high school, I feel, because we had to do a project in art where I think we had to do something like a piece of art that had to do with our heritage. So like people were doing
Yes.
all, like one of my girlfriends is Dutch, she was doing Delft pottery stuff. So everyone was doing something totally different. And I was like, okay, well I'm gonna look up Indigenous art, and there's a few different styles, but woodland art, I really like it. I like how it's simplified. I like how the colors are usually flat. It's more, I don't know, I like it. It's easy on the eyes. So I did that for that specific project, and I think I did like wolves and some fish, and I just painted them on canvases, and then that was my project. And after that, I just kind of wanted to keep drawing it. I drew all sorts of stuff preparing for my apprenticeship. So the woodland art didn't really become a thing again in my life until honestly my mom asked me to do a mural at Miles Mac, and I was like, okay, I'll go for it. I have time. My job shut down. So
Now, what's the preparation go into for a mural?
okay, well I just finished the 2 I'm gonna do. Like last night I finished them that I'm gonna do in the office and at student services. And I a lot of it is spiritual for me at least, because this is like a big deal. It's something that's going to be there for a long time. It's not a piece of art on a canvas. It's going to stick there in the hallway.
It's a legacy piece.
Yeah,
for
until you guys
right?
paint over it, till the school's gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
And until it peels off, who knows? So I usually meditate quite a bit on it, and I sit and I
Well,
pray,
maybe
and
you'll
I'm
be
like,
Leonardo da Vinci. Maybe there'll be works that they'll continue to, like they find old works. I was just reading about Leonardo, Salvador Mundi, one of his great pieces, and he worked with students, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Leonardo, I read a lot about him. I just love his life
Yeah.
as the Renaissance writer and
interesting.
thinker and creator. And they found an old painting. Someone bought it for $100.
Yeah.
It sold for 120 million.
That's crazy.
Because they
Wow.
uncovered it. They
Right.
uncovered it and discovered this is an original Leonardo. This
Wow.
wasn't by one of his students. So maybe that's what's
One
going to
day,
happen to you.
Years.
They're going to find your
apocalypse.
works.
When
Yes,
the-
yes.
when the aliens
It's too bad that Leonardo would have liked a piece of that 120, I think. 120
Yeah,
million.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Back
crazy.
then, but no, somebody's making it. Of course, it's a Russian oligarch, I think, who bought it. Anyway,
Amazing.
yeah.
But yeah, no, lots of, I like to just make sure I normally just pray, meditate, and I'm like, hey, what's this supposed to be? What do I want to represent? It's not so much about the actual art. I mean, it is, but I just like to have an idea going into it. And when Brian asked me to do that big hallway, I was like, hey, this is a lot. This is, something that everyone is going to see walking into the school. So I was just thinking about my experience at ATC, and I'm like, what do people here need to see or want to see every
Yes.
day? What's going
The
to
audience,
benefit
right?
people?
The
Yeah,
audience. You know
yeah.
the audience.
Yeah.
And you're a great person to do this because you know
Mhm.
you knew who walked down these hallways and up and down them.
My locker was in that hallway, like right there. So I was just, sitting and meditating on it, and I'm like, hey, I want to do something about community, and that was my biggest thing for that mural specifically. And Brian too just really wanted like indigenous art to be a thing. So the one going in the office soon is going to be about the creation story, and Turtle Island. So that'll be fun. The one in the student services that one's just a little bit more fun. It's going to be like an underwater type scene, and there's a lot of water birds in it. And that one just kind of represents nature and how nature communicates with itself. Not as deep, that one, but it looks pretty sweet. And the hallway one, I wanted to put something about balance in it, and especially community. That was a
Yeah, I
big
noticed
deal.
that. Like, you actually entitled the one in the hallway.
Yeah.
Balance.
The big ones I title, the smaller ones no.
And for me, I always talk about that. I think that's what connected me to that painting or that mural right away, is I'm always seeking balance. I'm always seeking a sense of, don't get too high here or too low here. Just find the peace and the serenity of balance.
Well, it goes for everything,
Yes.
literally in life.
How important
yeah.
is that to you?
Super important. It's something I think about every single day. Like so one thing that's hard with tattooing is you bring your work home with you. Like I try and tattoo at the shop 30 to 40 hours a week. I draw more than that at home. So
Yes.
I probably draw at least 5 hours a day. And I know, yeah. And I try and take a day off.
But that's your
sometimes,
commitment to the work, right? Like, that's what you
Yeah.
love to do. Well, so Zoe, what do you do an extra 5 hours a day?
At 5 hours a day?
Yeah, extra.
Nothing special. Probably
Nothing
watch
special.
TV or
Watch
something.
TV. There you go. What do you do?
Sometimes I'll just sit down on my computer and do like graphic design.
See, that's
but,
cool. But
yeah.
that's a lot. Like, you're
is a
committing,
lot, yeah.
and you're saying this is so important to me. I want to, and it's to do it though must be some kind of almost emancipation for you. This uplifting.
Yeah,
piece of you,
like
right?
the time goes by fast. Like I don't feel all the time as if it's work. Like some tattoos that are more challenging to do, hard. You know, if some clients want to stick a bunch of ideas in one tattoo, it's hard to create that piece that will age well, look good, represent everything.
And
they
when
want.
you get on a roll, what's that like?
It's great. Time goes by fast. There's some days
You get
where
in the flow, right?
Absolutely. There's some days I can finish 5 tattoos in one day, like when I'm
Yeah,
drawing at
yeah.
home on my day off. And then some tattoos takes 3 nights to complete, and I want to cry because it depends on the client and what we're doing.
Yeah, but
and
that's
it's
the moment, right?
difficult.
Like, the difficult
hard.
ones are the moments, right? When, and I always, like, I do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a roll, I have to keep going. And
Absolutely,
My
yeah.
wife will be talking to
Yeah.
me, and I'll say, no,
me alone.
I have to finish this.
Yeah.
I just give me another half hour, and she goes, it's been an hour.
Right.
I said, oh yeah, I'm just, and it'll move that way. And when you're in that flow, you got to take advantage of those moments.
Yes,
But
especially
I've
with
always,
a hard tattoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've learned that in my creative process, and I wonder about yours now. It's the difficulty of just getting it out, and then it will come.
Yeah.
It will come, but you have to be loyal to the process.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, even creating the mural that, like, yesterday I was drawing them. The one in student services I had a very clear idea for, and that I was able to bang out super easy. But the one with the office, that was one I had to meditate quite a bit on, and I drew so many sketches, and I'm like, what am I gonna do in here? And it took probably 4.5, 5 hours to just get the general idea out,
Yes,
because
yes.
I'm like, I need this to look good, of course. And it's in the office. It's probably people are gonna see that before they see the big mural sometimes. So, but once I got the general idea out, drawing it takes like, I don't even know, maybe an hour and a half to
I know,
actually
but
draw.
it's that moment, in that overcoming. What a feeling that
Oh,
is,
I was
right?
like,
When
okay,
you
I can
nail
go
it.
downstairs and go for a walk or something.
Yes,
Like I can
yes.
leave it alone because I figured it out. Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's and there's a lesson there just about. I love reading about. I like James Taylor. He's an old singer, okay, but I like listening to him. And he wrote about his creative process.
Yeah.
And he did there's a little documentary I saw about it, and I could just listen to it over and over again, just about. It doesn't always come when you need it. Like but it
Yeah.
will come. It will come if you're loyal and if you honor the process.
Yeah.
Something will come, but you have to trust yourself. You have to
Yeah.
learn to trust yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and looking back, like when I was apprenticing and first starting out in tattooing, there were some designs that were really hard that I would lie awake in bed thinking about, they're just, how am I going to do this? Is it even possible? Is it going to turn out
Yes.
good? But now when I have those tattoo designs where I'm like, oh, how do I do this? I just
Yes.
remember, okay, you've done it before.
Yes,
You're always going to
yes,
do it.
yes.
It's going to happen. So just shut up and be
Well, how
quiet.
important are mentors to you in that process
important.
along the way?
My
Have you
mentor
had
was-
any really cool mentors?
Well, the teachers at ATC, wonderful. I
Yes,
had Ms.
yes.
Cook and Ms. D and Ms. Price, and they were great. And then for tattooing, my mentor and instructor was Nadine Mitchell. She owns Metamorphosis with her mom, Diane.
Yes.
And so Diane was my mentor when I was piercing. I was Diane's last piercing apprentice, which was super special. Her and Nadine opened Metamorphosis in 1998, I believe. In August this year, we had the 23rd anniversary. So it's been around for a while. And Diane was a labor and delivery nurse for years and years. And she decided when Nadine started tattooing at Metamorphosis that she wanted to learn how to pierce, because Nadine was tattooing and doing the piercing, and Diane was just kind of reception, helping out.
Yes.
But then once the piercing got too much, Nadine's like, I need to hire someone else. So Diane was like, well, I'm going to go learn how to do it. She went and took courses in the States and came back and started piercing. So I was her last piercing apprentice. She's kind of in retirement mode. She still comes into the shop every day, though. And she was great. I loved working with both those women, because it wasn't just about, is this piercing going to look good? Is this the right jewelry? Is this tattoo going to look good? A lot of it was very spiritual, which is super important to me.
Yes.
And that's kind of Metamorphosis's whole thing, is the piercing is not usually the important part. It's kind of what
journey,
what
right?
it means to someone. Yeah. Same with tattoos. They're a big deal to some people. And Nadine and Diane really taught me that skin is sacred. That's something Nadine and Diane both said. And the connection you make with people is, for me, more important than the art a lot of the time. The experience people have at the shop. You can have a really bad experience at a tattoo shop. I have heard so many
Horrific
bad
things.
stories. I've had bad experiences at tattoo shops, and it's people get taken advantage of, people get ripped off, people get crappy work, people get assaulted, people, all sorts of stuff, because you're in a position of one person's in power.
Yes.
And you're vulnerable, you're getting hurt, you're wearing less clothing than you normally would be, all that kind of stuff. So you have to make that space so safe. And that's something that's super important to Nadine, Diane, me. That's my first priority, is making sure that my client is feeling safe, because they're about to get hurt for a long time. So they have to make sure that they're comfortable.
How painful is this thing?
It's ugly.
Is it?
It hurts.
It hurts, yeah.
It gets worse. Like, your body kind of like, it gets used to the pain.
Yeah.
If you take a break though and you come back, it hurts a lot.
And it depends on the place, depends on the size.
Yeah,
like,
it depends a lot on the. Yeah.
I've had people pass out. I've had people sit for 8 hours and be fine. Mostly women.
Props
Women
to
are
them.
usually good at that.
Props to
yeah.
them.
I like my most painful tattoo was probably my ribs. That was the only tattoo that I had to say I need a minute, because all the other tattoos I have I could sit through just fine, but that was an assault.
I don't like needles. I had trouble with the vaccine.
Well, you know, I passed out from medical needles.
too.
I cried for my COVID vaccine.
I know.
I can't deal with it. But with tattooing, it's like my machine looks like a big pen. It's not loud. The needles are so teeny. So most people who are really scared of needles, once they kind of see what's happening, that goes away. But yeah, medical needles, no, thank you.
Oh, geez.
I hate it.
So what were the big decisions in your life that made the ultimate
I'd say
kind of pathing for you?
I would say, okay, so in high school, one thing that made a big difference that my principal did not like is in grade 11 and 12, I was like, hey, if I really want to be a tattoo artist, I got to draw so much. And so in grade 11 and 12 at Calvin, I only took the required courses like math, science, and then even in grade 12, you don't need to take a science, so I didn't. And I had a lot of spares. So I drew every single spare. I drew and I drew and I drew. And I remember my principal came up to me. It was like October of grade 12 or something. And he's like, Justine, you have like 8 spares. And I'm like, yeah, I'm drawing. I'm preparing for being a tattoo artist. And he took me into his office and he's like, you could take this course and you could fill up this spot and take this course. Why don't you take another English? Why are you not taking a science? And I'm like, I want to draw. And I'm like, I already got so many credits. I'm going to graduate with, I think, 5 credits more than I need. So I'm like, why? Why would I do that? And my parents were on board. They're like, you're passing. Just do whatever you want.
Well, and that's an interesting thing that, an educator would come up to you, and what do you guys think of that? Would come up to you and say,
oh, yeah.
Just fill your schedule.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point of just filling your schedule?
I already had enough. If I didn't have enough credits, absolutely, please help me. But I don't remember how many I graduated with, like 35 or something. And because I worked lots in grade 8, 9, and 10 because I knew that I wanted to have spares in grade 11 and 12. And I went to work too. So I had my spares at the end of the day and I went and did lifeguarding in the mid-afternoon. But yeah, that sucked telling that principal to be like, no, this is what I'm doing. And I told my mom when I got home and she was like, don't listen to him. She's like, she's not, originally she was a little bit nervous. Both my parents were, I think, about me being a tattoo artist because they were worried. it's a starving artist kind of job. They were worried I wouldn't make enough money, and a lot of people think like, oh, tattoo shops, drugs, and this, and you're gonna fall in with a bad crowd. And
But I think the whole profession is becoming way more respectable.
Oh, totally.
I think it's
Yeah.
slowly developing a sense with more mainstream people getting it.
Yeah,
I think that
for
just
sure.
brings it now to a more kind of, and I use the term loosely, like respectable.
Yeah.
And a respectable profession, and you're flourishing in it.
yeah,
And
no, it's a great industry
And I can see you're kind of a together, happening person.
Yeah.
You're not.
for the most part.
You weren't skulking around here. My wallet's still with me.
Right.
I think we're all
Not gonna
okay.
steal from you.
Yeah, I think we're all
Walk
okay.
away with your microphones. But yeah, I mean, there are some shops that are
Sleazy.
dangerous and not clean and drug fronts and that kind of thing. So I just tell people, if you want to get a tattoo, please do not go to a place that will get you in as fast as possible.
Yeah,
If you can get
do
a
your
tattoo
homework.
the same day, don't go.
Yeah, do
do
your
not
homework.
go.
Do your
Do
homework.
your homework.
Yeah.
Meditate on your idea. If you ask the shop to give you a tour and they say no, leave. Absolutely leave, because they got gross stuff happening back there.
Okay,
Yeah. So yeah, do your research. Look at people's portfolio. Go to the shop.
So
Super
what's
important.
now think of a grade 11 or 12 kid. What bit of advice would you give them? Just from their own
Yeah.
perspective, not necessarily from working in the art industry, just as a young person
Right.
sitting in grade 11, what advice would you give it to a young person?
I would say make sure that you're actually doing something you love and you're in a place that feels right. I worked in 3 salons, and one of those salons, I was not myself. For a year and a half, I had to dress in a way I didn't want to dress. I was in a very high-end professional salon. I couldn't be myself. I couldn't talk about what I wanted to talk about. I didn't have any real friends at that salon because I couldn't be me. It was way too professional for someone like me. So working at a place that you can feel like is, that you can be yourself and do, go into courses in grade 11. Like I thought at one point I might want to do social work because I love helping people. I worked at a camp for inner city kids for about 10 years. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I went in grade 11, I think, or 10 to Booth University. It
Yes,
was like a
yes,
day
yeah.
where you just go and
Downtown,
walk around.
downtown.
And I was like, I might want to do social work. I wanted to be like a school guidance counselor, something with kids.
And that's one of the social work specialty schools.
And I went and I was like, absolutely not. I am not sitting in this room. I am not sitting in class for 5 years to do this. I need to figure out a different way to help people in a way that feels right for me. Because as soon as I saw my classrooms, I met the teachers. They were great. But as soon as I was in that environment, I was like, no, not for me. So
the camp counselor thing has been important to you.
Oh yeah,
in everything you do.
I worked at this place for I started actually working there when I was 12, and then I think my last year was when I was about 18 or 19, and yeah, it was this inner city camp in St. Malo. New Hope Church is on Henderson
St.
Highway.
Malo. My son just got
Yeah.
married in St. Malo.
Really, it's a super pretty place.
2 days ago.
I love it. But yeah, this church called New Hope, they would
Yes.
basically every year around summer give out sponsors. So the congregation would give money. It'd be like $80 to $100
Yes.
to send a kid to camp. And then the church would put out like an advertisement to the Elmwood community, like, hey, if you have a kid between this age and this age that wants to go to camp for free, sign up. So the camp wasn't huge. Like I think the most amount of kids I ever had was like 46 or 45, something like that.
Well, that's still busy.
It was a lot, yeah. And it was rough. Like it was great for those kids, but like we'd had to call CFS a few times.
Yes.
Sometimes kids would get like not picked up at the end of the week.
So you're working with some tough kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah,
good though.
abused kids, like these kids really bond to you, and it is
That's awesome.
the most
though.
heartbreaking thing to leave them and send them back
Yes,
to their house.
but it's awesome what you're giving them.
It was awesome. It was
Yes.
such a good camp, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Like
Yeah.
with time and
Yes,
the other
yes.
stuff I wanted
Well,
to
good
do.
for you for doing
It
that.
was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I lifeguarded there. I was the canoe instructor. I cooked all sorts of stuff. So
That's awesome.
It was
That's
so fun.
awesome. You know
But-
what? We're coming to the end, and we started a new feature here. So we're going to let to Akira and Zoe. It's called our Whip It Round.
Okay.
We've never done the Whip It Round, and this is a collection of questions. You have to answer them very quickly.
Oh dear. Okay.
And you choose one or the other, or something's got to come to your head real
Okay,
quick.
I'll try my best.
And you know what, Justine? There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. No, there's no right or wrong answer. So you guys want to go with this? Start it right off the hop. We're going to start with the questions. You ready?
All right.
Okay, let's whip it.
Go. All right. So, are you a dog or a cat person?
Cat for sure.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
I think it does.
What is your favorite day of the week?
Oh, I would say Wednesday.
Favorite potato chips?
Oh, barbecue.
Rate your driving ability on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say 9.
What do you put on your toast?
Just butter or peanut butter.
Do you like summer or winter better?
Winter.
Slurpee or slushy?
Oh, Slurpee.
Is your desk messy or is it tidy?
Oh, it's tidy.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
So name something in your fridge that is more than likely expired.
Oh, nothing. I'm crazy. I throw everything out as soon as it's expired.
Favorite musical artist?
Oh, like, I love Iron Maiden, for sure. That's probably my top.
And then last question, what is your favorite social media platform?
Oh, Instagram, probably. Yeah.
And you just got whumped.
You just got whooped. That's what we just said. So congratulations. And I want to, again, you get something special here.
Oh, thank you.
Justine, you're getting the Adventures in
so
Careerland.
cozy.
You can't see this live, but it's happening. The Adventures in Careerland commemorative
I love
shirt.
it. Thank you so much.
It's a medium, and I think you need a small.
No, that's fine.
We also want to, because of your connection to your Métis background, and she's also related to Louis Riel. You didn't say that quickly, but quickly,
No.
what's your relation to Louis Riel?
Okay, so in Louis Riel's council, the typical picture, Paul Proulx is at the bottom. Paul Proulx is my great-great-great-grandfather. Only 3 greats, it's not that long ago. He married Louis Riel's niece, and then I'm a descendant of their children. So Louis Riel was like his cousin-in-law, I suppose. But yeah, no, we couldn't remember exactly what Louis Riel is to me, but we're from his bloodline.
Well, Grandpa Proulx would be very proud of you.
Yeah,
And
I hope so.
I also notice in the artwork there's a circle of courage that you put on there. We have a circle of courage that
Sweet.
is seeds. You plant that as a
Oh,
seed.
what?
So there's nothing there that is not bio
Degradable? Or
ethical or
bad, I
something,
know
right?
what you
Okay.
mean.
Yeah, we're just trying
I
to
don't
be.
know the words.
Okay, and we also have some
Sweet.
bands that you can put on your wrist that about career development. You also plant
Sweet.
these
That's so cool. What kind of seeds are in there?
wildflowers, and you put
Awesome.
them in the ground. And I think it's Botanical Paperworks. It's a Winnipeg company, innovative little
Cool.
Winnipeg company that I got them from.
I've never seen
So
that before.
Go in there, and I can tell you how to plant them later.
Okay,
Anyway,
sweet.
we're so appreciative of you being here. What a
Yeah,
great
thanks for
opening!
having
Yeah,
me.
thank you.
Yeah.
What a great opening podcast. I'm
was
just
fun.
excited to get this done. So Zoe's our kind of editing guru. She'll take care of this and she'll put it in shape and get it in the right. And Akira will put it up and load it and put it together and get the sign and
Sweet.
all those pieces together. So we're so appreciative
Yeah, no, thanks.
appreciative
for
of you
having me.
being here and in sharing your story. And we could have gone on. There's so many. Every
I could
time you
talk
said something, I
forever,
went,
yeah.
"Oh my God, there's
I know.
another piece to this."
I know.
So you're a spectacular person, and there's
Thank
so
you.
many pieces of your life that are going to continue to grow and nurture and turn into something. I think something very amazing is going to happen to
I
you.
hope so.
It already is, but I think something even more amazing is going to happen. So appreciative. And everybody, that's our program for today. And our season opener, as you will attest, you've listened to it, is a doozy. Thanks for listening, you 8 or 9 people out there. We appreciate it. And we'll see you again on Adventures in Careerland.